For those of you who don't know, my name is Robin Troy. My brother is Frank Troy, a man who recently announced to the internet that I am dead. You know, Frank, I was really trying. I was trying really bloody hard to let it go. Even when I saw you in those videos flirting your ass off in Weatherbury of all bleeding places, I told myself that it wasn't worth it. That you weren't worth my time or my energy, and what you did with your life was your business. But you don't get to just erase me from existence. I am not one of your bloody one-night stands that you can just pretend didn't happen because it's convenient for you. People aren't your playthings, Frank, and they don't magically disappear when you stop finding them interesting. So, to whoever might be watching this is what really happened. Frank and I were in the care system from a young age. We both hated it, but Frank was older, so he got out first and did who knows what for a few years. Meanwhile, I was staying with a family who it just wasn't really working out. I'd recently been diagnosed with depression, and they weren't very sympathetic. When Frank turned 21, I asked if he would become my legal guardian to get me out, and after a very long time trying to persuade him, he agreed. We moved near Weatherbury, so I started going to school there. I got a new therapist, and I started getting okay grades again. And the kids at my school were surprisingly nice to me. And things felt like they were finally turning around. I felt okay for the first time in ages. But I could tell Frank didn't really want to hear about it, my depression. And he was almost never home because he was always out blowing his wages gambling, so there was never any money. And I went hungry a lot because of that. And one day my teacher was collecting money for a class field trip, and he left the cash in his desk drawer, and I knew it was unlocked, so I took some. I was caught immediately, and the school said that that kind of behaviour, while not unexpected from someone with my background, would not be tolerated. I was expelled. We moved away. Frank made a joke of it. Said it was because of me, because I wasn't a good enough thief. Moving was hard. It took me a while to get another therapist and to adjust to the new school. But after a couple of months, I was settling in, I wasn't the new kid anymore, and things started to feel okay. But then Frank decided that it had been his lifelong dream to be a fighter pilot, and just one day announced that he was going to join the RAF. His initial plan was to dump me back in the care system, but after I literally begged him not to, and he found out how much paperwork that would take, he settled for putting me in boarding school. So I moved. Again. Boarding school was bad. I didn't fit in at all. Counsellors were awful, and the teachers. Basically, the only good thing about the place was the regular meals, and they tasted like boiled socks. I wasn't really coping. Everything was hard. And the longer I was there, the worse it got. then Frank said that he was coming home for Christmas, and he asked if I wanted to join him, and it felt like a godsend, like a lifeline. And I thought, this is my chance to really talk to him, to explain what's happening and ask for help so I wouldn't feel like I was drowning anymore. We arranged that I would take the train in and he would pick me up from the station. But I had written the number of my stop on my phone, and my phone died halfway through the journey, so I got off at the wrong one and I had to walk the rest of the way. I was an hour late. And it turned out that without telling me, Frank had decided that he'd rather go out drinking with his buddies than spend the day with his little sister. So he was just going to pick me up and drop me off at the motel he was staying at. Only, of course, I wasn't there to be picked up, so by the time I got there his friends were grumpy and Frank was furious but trying not to show it. So he left me at the motel with barely saying a word. And when he got back that night, he told me how inconsiderate I was to have left him there, and how I was ruining our holiday together, and why couldn't I just be fun like I used to be, and I told him how miserable I was at boarding school, and I asked if he would consider leaving the RAF so we could live together again. And he said no. And then I asked if he would just come home often for more visits so I'd have some kind of support system, and he said no. And then I got really angry, and I said some things that I probably shouldn't have, all of which were true. And at the end of it, Frank said that I was an ungrateful, spoiled brat, and if I hated boarding school that much, then he wasn't going to keep bloody paying for it. And then he slammed the door, and he left. He left me in a strange motel on my own with just a fucking backpack of my things. I waited there for 2 days. He never came back. He never returned any of my calls. He just vanished and expected me to pick up the pieces like he always does. It took all my savings to pay for that room, and after that I had nothing, no money, barely any clothes. He left me to fend for myself on the streets when I was already barely keeping my head above water. You left me alone. Frank, this is the last time you will ever hear from me. If you want to keep telling people that you don't have a sister, that's fine, because I will never be more dead to you than I am right now. You're not my brother. You have lost the right to call me family. You're a selfish, petty little man, and I hope that one day you realise what an utter waste of a human being you've become. You may have gotten what you wanted, a life without me in it, but honestly, I'm the one who's better off without you.